Welcome to today's episode of Confessions of a Cleaning Business Owner. Today we're going to be talking about getting found on Google. Now, Diane, you have a website, don't you?
Yep.
But it's not as common as you might think for cleaning business owners to have a website. And I know quite a few that actively choose not to. What is the general thoughts of people around this, and how important is being found on Google, I guess? And people assume it's just websites that get found, but tell me more.
Well, my thoughts around Google, and I love social media. We do a lot of our work on social media, don't we? But I've always thought of social media for my cleaning business as more about brand awareness and people. Yes, I do some active marketing in local groups and things like that. But a lot of the time people find you accidentally and they might not be actively looking when they come across you. Whereas when people go into Google and put cleaning services in Leeds, they are actively looking for a cleaning service in Leeds. They haven't accidentally put in cleaning services in Leeds. They haven't just sort of browsed the internet and found your website. They have actively searched for you or a business like yours. So that's for me why I think Google is so powerful.
I love Google because you're right. You've got people that are actively looking for cleaners. And if you can be up high on that list, then they're not going to go through more than two or three. You know, when I'm looking for something, I'll search it up. I'll look up the top few. I will go down to maybe 4 or 5. I'll have a look, bit of a decide, and then I'll just phone one, and that's who I'll probably go with. If they're a bit expensive, maybe I'll go to another one, but I'll just compare 2 or 3.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. Yeah, none of us have got the patience to go to the second page. We're always going to be, but you kind of scroll up and down a little bit, don't you, before you decide which ones to click on. So it's
Yeah.
important to have something on there that's going to catch people's eye. But the most important thing is to be on there because that's where the serious and real, genuine leads are going to come from, I think.
So, and this is my experience of it. So we are on social media. I'll be honest, I'm actually very good at social media, but for the cleaning business, I don't bother. And the reason is my cleaning business is top end, is expensive. And if I compete with all the other cleaning companies on social media, I am going to get rejected left, right, and center. They're going to go, you're too expensive, you're too expensive, you're too expensive. I mean, I can keep going all day. They're going to tell me I'm too expensive. Whereas if they're looking on Google, I'm only competing with the businesses that have a marketing budget, probably. Although we do it, I don't pay for it. And so they're going to be the high-end businesses. And I would rather be competing at the top end than trying to be top end and compete with all the cheap ones. So for me, it's not worth competing on social media. I do have a presence, but for me, it's got to be Google because that's the only place where the customers that are going to be paying my kind of rate are going to be looking.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think, as business owners, we have to decide where we spend our time marketing and our money often. But usually it's more time than money, isn't it, when it comes to marketing? And I think putting effort into understanding how to get seen on Google is key. And you did a masterclass recently, didn't you, with Joe from Digital, who pretty much spilled the beans on how to get seen on Google, didn't he?
He was excellent. He was
Yeah.
absolutely excellent. And full confession, he actually does help me in my business and does quite a lot of work behind the scenes on that. So the main thing is actually getting found on Google. But what I hadn't realized, and I should have realized, is you don't even need a website to be on Google because you can have a Google My Business listing.
Yeah.
And I've had one of those for years and years and years and probably haven't done an awful lot with it because I've just relied on the website. But you can exist purely on your Google My Business listing.
And you can create posts. Those lovely posts that you put on Facebook? You can put them on your Google My Business listing as well.
And do people see them though? That's my thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course they do. Yeah, it comes up on, when it comes up on the right hand side that you found the business. Yeah, they're there. Your reviews are there, but also, yeah, any posts that you've put out, any pictures that you've put out, they're all there as well.
Love that. So you can go on and get a Google My Business listing. Now, you found this because you talked about this recently. It can be tricky now verifying the business because years ago, when I started verifying, probably 15 years ago, you just got sent a postcard. It was simple.
Yeah,
I think the
put the
first time I
code
did
on
it,
it.
Yeah, put the code in, all done. Now, because tradespeople, and this is quite interesting for cleaners, you may not have a set address, you may not want your home address listed on there. You can now have a tradesperson's listing, but you've got to prove you exist. And so if you've got a shop front, well, that's lovely and easy, but not all tradespeople have a shop front. So there are other ways of proving that you are a legitimate business, but they're really cracking down or maybe changing how they list it on Google, aren't they?
I think now you can have a coverage area, can't you? But you can only have one.
Yes. And the closer you are to where you actually put the center of it, the better. So
Yeah, you've got to be really and you should be anyway, to be honest. Unless you've got several branches, you really, as a cleaning business, should not be venturing too far away from your base. And I see people in Facebook groups, as an example, that are probably 20 miles from my business, sort of commenting and thinking, why do you want that business? When I first started, I was probably guilty of that, going too far and ending up with customers that I actually probably didn't really want. But if you're going to have that Google My Business listing, make sure it's in the exact location you really, really want your business, not everywhere.
yeah, do you know, I had this today. I did a quote for someone and they were 0.2 of a mile outside where we cover. And I had a house that we cleaned, literally a few hundred meters away. And I thought to myself, do I want to? And I was like, no, there's got to be a line. And you know that if you start crossing that line, it's a slippery slope to things getting more and more expensive. I'd rather keep that slot for someone within the line.
Yeah, before you know it, you'll pick up another customer on the same street, and then the first one will cancel, and then you're stuck with somebody else that's an outlier. And
Well,
it's just not
I
worth
don't
it.
want them on the same. Well, I don't want them on that street. I want them near the centre. I don't want the outskirts to be
No.
growing. I want them. I want to cancel that and have them closer and closer and closer. But anyway, right. That we're talking about Google. So reviews.
Yes.
How easy do you find it to get reviews?
Really hard, and I think that the main reason was, well, first of all, we don't push for them. That's definitely always the reason that you don't get reviews. But also because we're pretty much regular domestic cleaning, we get lots and lots of really lovely feedback, but there's not the high impact
No.
that somebody would go, oh my god, they've done an amazing job on my oven or my carpets or an end of tenancy clean. So it can be harder to get reviews, but it's not impossible. And we've got lots of really good reviews, but I don't think they're as easy to get as people think. You have to work at it, which is, I know, what you've been doing.
So, yeah, you say I worked at it. So, again, technology. So, we struggled like you to get those reviews. I asked and they go, yes. 2 years later, you still haven't done it. So, we actually used a technology, an app. Is it an app or a website called Nice Job? And what's really nice about this is you put in the customer's details, and then first of all, they send them an email asking them to write you a review, and they give them a link. And some customers don't have Google, some don't have social media, so you can write it just on their own
Without having
platform.
the account. Yeah.
But what the research has shown is that you can actually pester them about 5 times. So we'd send an email, then a reminder email, then a text, then a reminder text, and then the 5th reminder text. And the technology just did it for us. So it was spaced like a day or two apart. And I've got to say, I was like, oh my God, are they not going to get really annoyed that we're pestering them? Our reviews went through the roof. They were all really good reviews, and customers were grateful to us for asking. And we even had one lovely customer. She came into our office unexpectedly and went, I want to leave you a review and I don't know how to. I just can't use this. And we just sat with her and almost wrote our own review. And we were like, well, thank you so much. And she gave us her phone and did it. But, it was because we kept asking that she really felt obliged to help us out. And I was like, that's lovely.
And the thing is, reviews are not just for the customer that's going to find and see the reviews. Google loves reviews too, doesn't it? So Google wants to only present the best in its search engine. So the more reviews you have, the more positive they are, the better Google will list you. And I know that then we've got a new partner supplier with the DCBN, Trustist, who are probably very similar to Nice Job. But what Trustist do is they aggregate all your reviews. So if you get reviews on Facebook and on Google, on other platforms, then they'll actually mix them all together and have them all presented, and it gets you stars on the Google searches. So when you do come up in a Google search, you have stars and a number of reviews on your search listing in Google. So it just makes you stand out. So
are you saying that if you got like 3 Google reviews and you had 20 Facebook reviews, it would give you Google reviews from those Facebook reviews as well?
Yeah, it not quite as simple as that, but it aggregates the reviews. That's how the terminology that they use, so that they can all be put together. And when you're on I'm not talking about your Google My Business listing with the reviews on it, but on the left hand side, when you actually come up on the listing, if somebody's searched, unlike all the other links, yours will have how many stars you've got and the number of reviews with your listing, so it makes you stand out. Really clever.
Ooh. And I think those reviews are really, really important in getting found, aren't they? And I know people that have gone from right down on the rankings, and they've done an internal competition. So people will give reviews to your staff. And if you have a competition between the staff, and whoever gets the most reviews, well, who's the real winner when you pay them your 50 quid for who got it the most that month?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, your business is, because you're going to win from all of them. And you can get to the top of Google just on reviews. You can outperform even the biggest spenders in your area just on, interacting with Google and getting those reviews. But the other thing that he was saying that I really liked, because keywords, I hate the word keywords. I just feel like everyone bangs on about keywords. But anyway, keywords. So if you want to get found in your area, the names of all the little towns and villages in your area, and you want to come up in searches for those. So you can respond to these reviews using the keywords that you would have liked them to put in your review. So, for example, I'm based in South Manchester. So let's say I wanted to be found in Urmston. I would put, thank you. We love having cleaning customers in Urmston. I want to hit cleaning. I want to hit cleaners. And it's great that you were searching for cleaners near me in Urmston, because we know people search for cleaners near me. Yeah. So, and you almost are hitting all the keywords. And as long as it kind of makes sense, it should make sense, your response. It can be really, really good.
And actually answering a review with those keywords is more powerful than having them on your website, because Google's not stupid. When it sends the spiders to your website, it can spot that you've loaded it with keywords. But actually doing it in your review answer, it's not the same, and it won't get spotted in the same way or downgraded in the same way.
Have you ever had a bad review?
Yes. Yeah, not a really bad review, but a less than positive one, shall we say? When you look at reviews for something, say you want to go to a restaurant or a hotel, what do? I look at the 2 best reviews and the 2 worst reviews for everywhere before I even look any further.
The best come up anyway. I only look at the worst. I only want to see the bad ones, because the good ones are
the worst that can happen. Yeah.
So I've had 2 really bad reviews. One got removed because I think I've talked about this, because I've never even cleaned for them. I was like, that's a bit harsh. They cold called me. And then the other one, I called them up. I was like, have we ever cleaned for you? He's like, yes, you have. I was like, you're not on my list of customers. Okay. He was like, you did the quote. I was like, did I? I remember nothing. And we did a one-off clean, and apparently we weren't as good as their regular cleaners. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. What do you want me to say? Whoops,
Do you not think, though, that a negative review, first of all, if you've got 200 5-star reviews in any business, do people believe that, or do they just think
I don't know. I think there's been so many bots and people buying reviews and so much fakery, I feel, with the online world, that I hope they're all real.
But if you then got one bad one, does it not make the other 499 good ones more authentic?
Well, yes. But it's how you respond to that bad review. There's how many bad review responses go viral, again, on social media.
That's when they can actually damage your business, is your response, isn't it? Imagine.
I like the good one.
What we wanted to say.
No, but there are some really funny ones, aren't there, that really probably do you a lot of good. Obviously, you cannot just write what you want.
No, your house is minging. we couldn't have done it in the time. No, please don't say that. Even if you think it.
But no, you can reply really. To be fair, before I even replied, I would phone that customer and go, oh my gosh, how do we remedy this? Because I would rather actually solve the problem than come up with any kind of response. Like, if they're not happy with me, what did I do? Do we need to refund you? What happened? But it's an interesting one because with continuous customers, if they leave a bad review, it's kind of awkward because you haven't cancelled the
Yeah, you've got
service.
to go back next week. Yeah. We had one years ago, actually, which it wasn't a customer of ours. We'd never heard of them in particular. It was a little village. I think it was a former team member, but I was never 100% sure. So I literally responded and saying, you know, I'm really sorry, James. I think they were calling themselves. You're not in our system. However, you know, here's my phone number. Please ring me, and if we can fix anything, then we will. But I can't find you in our system. And I just thought, you know, it makes it clear that this is not my customer, you know, because it's like, I've never heard of you. But it was polite enough and offering to help, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so try and get reviews.
Yeah.
Directories. So getting found on Google. So again, I'm going to refer back. I feel really old doing this. When I first started getting on directories, again, we're talking 15 years ago, Yell was quite a big one then. It seemed to crash and burn in the intervening years, and it's making a little bit more of a comeback. They've reinvented themselves. They've come up with some new and they've renamed themselves. They're no longer Yell.com. They've now got a different name as well, but they are really trying to shed the bad publicity of the past. But Yell is still a major directory, and Yell will still give you a free listing. Now, you have to really search to be able to find it, but it's worth it.
And they will try and contact you to try and get you to upsell, but yeah, you can still get a free listing on Yell. Yell's an interesting one because they still haven't ditched the you've got to subscribe for 12 months model, and I don't understand why marketing can't be more proactive and changeable than that. For me to commit to 12 months on a marketing contract, something I've never done before, would be craziness, because I don't know if it works until I've tried it for a few months.
Well, I tried Yell a good few years ago. It got me a lot of calls. I got pitched at by just about every business under the sun. I don't think it got me any business. So anyway, but it's worth joining the directories. They're constantly changing. They've got Scoot, Hot Frog. There are loads of directories. It's worth getting on all of them. I don't know if you did this, but I sat there for like a week, and I have to do this every time I have a new website. It's so annoying. And you sit there for like a week in the evenings watching TV, filling on your details on that directory, waiting for the verification email. And each one takes about 15 minutes, and you're there every evening for like 3 hours going, right, let's fill these in and these in. I wish there'd be a quicker way of doing it.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Somebody needs to offer a service where they'll add you to all the directories, and there probably is. And what I did was I literally Googled cleaning services in my town, and every directory that came up, I put my free listing in there. That's what I did. This is going way back 16 years ago. There's actually a document in the member documents which lists the 10 main directories. So our members can cheat and just go straight to the directories rather than having to Google search. But you can Google search and find all the directories and get yourself in them, because, again, it's free marketing. Why wouldn't you?
While we're on directories, and it's not quite a directory, but gets new business, Bark.
Yes, Spark's a really interesting one because people complain about it a lot, but they misuse it as well. They don't really understand it, and yeah, they're not quick enough, or they're just buying leads without even thinking about which ones they really want. So Spark's a really, really good one, actually, especially for commercial. But it can be a really, really good one, but you have to use it quite cleverly, don't you? Do you still use it?
I did when I started out. I've got to say, I found it was very, very good. But then I stopped for a few years because I didn't need it. And then I went back to it again, and I was like, whoa, what's happened here? I probably stopped for about 5 years. I went back and I was like, wow, this has got a lot more competitive. And the leads had got more expensive. And they'd stopped, you know how a lot of people just inquire, but they don't really want a cleaner. They're just like, it'd be a nice thought.
I'd find out how much it might be.
Yeah, I'd like a cleaner, but I'd never want to pay for it. that's not a real lead. You can't expect me to pay, what was I paying at the time, £5 for that. I think it's more, it's about
It's
£5.63, I
more
think.
now, yeah.
It can be quite expensive when you're paying £20, £25 a lead. And but then the interesting thing is there's businesses that grew exclusively on Bark, and then as they get bigger, they need more work coming in, and Bark isn't providing the level of work they need. And they're suddenly stuck going, well, okay, how do I get this work in? And I think if you've grown on Bark and you suddenly have already got a fair sized business and you've suddenly got to start other marketing methods, it can be quite challenging. I think you've got to do quite a few. And I see businesses crash and burn because they relied solely on Bark.
I think that's the key with any marketing, though, for me. And obviously, this is a little bit off topic with Google, but we're doing a marketing masterclass tonight. But I think the key with marketing is you need more than one strategy. If you're solely relying on Facebook or solely relying on Bark or whatever it is you're solely relying on, you're making a mistake, because if one source of your leads dries up, you have nothing. Whereas actually, if you have several marketing strategies going at the same time and you're measuring them and making sure that they're still working, then that's the key to marketing stability, in my opinion.
Yeah. But Google should still be top. I still think
Definitely.
Google's an awesome one.
Definitely.
I think
that, for me, it's the source of the best quality leads.
Yeah. And the other thing about Google is they now do a search function called local search. Which is really, really good. So you can find your local tradespeople. Google seems to be focusing on going hyper local. And this is something I think a lot of businesses fall into the trap of. They go, there'll be a one-man band and they go, we are a brilliant big business covering the whole of the UK. And I'm like, why are you doing that? It's just you in your local town. Why don't you just tell people it's just you in your local town? And I think it's easy to confuse something like Google when you talk about we and the whole of the UK. Whereas really, just own who you are. If you're a one-man band, just be a really good one-man band doing what you do really, really well.
And make sure, whether you've got a website or whether you've got your Google listing or whether you've got a Facebook page, make sure you tell people really quick which areas you cover. Because there's nothing worse than searching a website to find out if a tradesperson is in your area when you realise that they're actually 100 miles away. It's really frustrating. So make it really clear that we cover Wetherby, Harrogate, Leeds, in my case. Make it really clear, because that's how people are going to not just find you, but they're going to stay and actually make an inquiry.
Perfect. So getting found on Google, get onto it. Hope you've picked up a few little hints on there. Go and listen to some experts. Go and read about how to do each of those in detail, because we really haven't covered how to do it. We've just talked about it vaguely. Thank you very much. If you would like more and you want to watch the proper masterclass from an expert, from Joe from Digital, and the hundreds of other masterclasses, we always have DCBM membership available. All of this is kept in a massive training library on video. There's documents, there's loads in there, isn't there, Diane?
Yeah, you've got documents, training, videos, discounts, everything you could ever need for your business, really.
Perfect. Thank you very much.